Testing. Great. All right, good afternoon, everyone. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for those who are in attendance. I just wanted to take this brief opportunity to welcome you all here to our debates for this year. On behalf of the Jamaica Medical Students Association, I want to say we're very proud of the candidates who have chosen to run and those who have come out in order to support them. As the candidates give their speeches, we ask for their full attention and for you to give them their due. Some of you may have come in here with your minds already made up, but we ask for all of you to keep an open mind and respect the candidate's time and your own. This is a momentous occasion for JAMSA as we prepare to transition into a new year with a new council. The individuals you see around you who are running today may be taking the reins of the student organization that is recognized by IFMSA and responsible for conducting activities for medical students nationwide. Obviously, if you have questions, please ask them. I ask that today in particular, you don't hold any questions back. But once again, please respect the candidate's time and thank you for coming. I'll now turn it over to the Vice President of Development to give you a little bit of background about some recent changes that you may not have been aware of and a small idea of the journey towards having this election both online and using audiovisual supplies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd first like to welcome our visitors from the Caribbean School of Medical Sciences, Jamaica. You can just wave your hand. They have been very interested in JAMS, and I'm proud to say that they are here for the first time this year, and I'm hoping that we see them more active in our activities. I'd also like to say welcome to WJC. WJC, can you wait for us, please? They too have been looking to join and be more active in our main body of JAMSA here in Kingston. I'm very proud to know that half of our nominees are actually from WJC, and I'm looking forward to seeing them integrate into life at Mona as well as further development of JAMSA on that campus. You can give them a round of applause there. So welcome CFMJ WJC. All right, so last year around about this time, we decided that we needed a new constitution thanks to the proactiveness and initiative of people like Mr. Anton Small, Ms. Tonya Mundo, Mr. Alexander Powell, and some others, we saw the creation of a new constitution, which was voted in to JAMSA April 2018. Through that constitution, we've had development of new roles, such as the local director, one of whom is Ms. Campbell sitting right here at the front for WJC. We also have the Vice President of Development, Vice President of Policy, Vice President of Communication, Vice President of Finance, which are all new roles to the JAMSA Council. Now, along with that, we saw the full onboarding of WJC into JAMSA nationally. We've had capacity building training, which happened in July of last year. We've had talks with CSMSJ. I kind of get my tongue twisted with that one. But we were having talks with them regarding their involvement in JAMSA, as well as the development of our new website, which you guys, I'm hoping, all took a visit and saw where our nominees were displayed, as well as various timelines that we had for elections. For the first time ever, to my knowledge, we're having a live stream of our debates, thus facilitating our students at offsites being able to see exactly what's going on. We've heard in the past that, we typically have our debates here, and people in Savlamar or St. James or wherever they are would really like to know what our nominees have to say. So for the first time, they're able to go on our IG Live right now to see what's going on. You can also tune into our YouTube channel where we have a live stream. You can also join us on Zoom, and you can come here and see everybody shake hands and see who exactly our new administration might be. We also, for the first time, have online voting, thus allowing those off-site as well to vote in their beds at midnight if they want, or when they just wake up at 6 a.m. For those who are at UEMONA and WJC, you should have all received your ballots via email to the verified email address that you provided to UE when you just started. So if you have not seen that yet, please let me know. But to my knowledge, over 1,300 students have already received their ballots, which will open at 6 a.m. and close at midnight tomorrow. Now, with all that said, I'd like to introduce our candidates. Here at the front, please wave so those behind can know. You'll be hearing more from them later on. As well as our candidates here at WJC. Candidates, can you please wave? Right, apparently they're the happiest campus. Okay, so to begin, we're gonna start with the local director of Western Jamaica campus, Miss Jolene Thorpe is our nominee. Please give her a round of applause as she starts.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Thank you, thank you.
You can begin, Jolene, when you're ready.
Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon, fellow students and nominees. My name is Jolene Thorpe, and I'm here to let you know why you should vote for me in tomorrow's elections to be the next local director of UE, Western Jamaica campus. Local director. The title sounds immense and respectable, but the designation is only as good as the person who holds it, right? That person is only as good as his or her principles and commitment. I'm a passionate person. I'm caring and protective. I'm also very approachable, also because I'm always grinning. I also love to get involved. And with everything I do, I have complete integrity and have hopes of impacting, influencing, and inspiring. That's a lot of eyes, true. But yeah, it has never been all about me, I promise. In the period of JAMSA nominations, a few of my classmates and I were conversing when the topic came up. One of them said, Joe, it's obvious that you're going to be the one to take over Jalene's job. And they all agreed. In that moment, I felt completely humbled by the mere consideration. What that showed me is that they recognized how devoted and impassioned I have been about JAMSA and the various activities we've carried out. Well, that or none of them wanted the job. Hopefully, it's the former. Coming into the elections, I have been focusing on the theme committed to community, dedicated to progress. JAMSA has been purposed, according to its new constitutions, Article 2, Section 1C, to promote and facilitate education through extracurricular and outreach projects and opportunities, helping us to give back to the community or enabling us to give back to the community while developing holistically. Okay. Simply, JAMSA wants us to be the people person that this people profession requires of us. In keeping with this, I will focus my time as local director to ensure that we develop these attributes. This will happen by getting us more involved in organizations that seek to reach, serve, and greatly impact the people in our communities. One such organization in the heart of St. James is the I Love Mobe Foundation, which I have sought to contact and devote to. With their involvement in outreach programs like health fairs, children home and school visits, and other programs, this will help the public to know that JAMSA is here and willing to help in any way that we can. This leads to progress. Progress to me means taking the time to spread awareness on the various diseases that affect the public. Last September, we had campus and social media presence in promoting prostate cancer awareness. We can now progress a step further by going into the town and getting the necessary information directly to the intended audience. Progress is also continuing to strive for unity among our campuses. working together to build and maintain the vivacious JAMSA team spirit. You may say you've heard that one before, but do you know the song At First You Don't Succeed? Well, I am willing to brush the plan off and try again. We can achieve this through more cross group activities, for example, a JAMSA social, which will give us a chance to get familiar with each other. Progress includes building on plans that the current execs here at WJC have put in place to drive that inclusiveness, like a campus exchange day aided by the OSSD, so we can all get a taste of the full university experience. Progress is also making JAMSA a one stop shop, so to speak. I think I can speak for everyone here in WJC when I say the demands of our busy schedule and the limited extracurricular activities on campus have ultimately confined us to one or maximally two clubs, right?
True,
True. Let us make JAMSA meetings as diverse as possible so we don't miss anything. The place to ease some stress with fun games and even karaoke, to enrich our cultural awareness and spirituality, to hear some of our problems that we encounter daily, which of course I will pass on to the respective faculty administrators with discretion. I want it to be a place for us to be free and be ourselves. Help me, help you. Vote for Jadine Thorpe, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Jadine. Does anybody have any questions from either campus? Any questions for Jadine? Yes, come to the mic, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Quick question. So, as local director, how would you work with the various stand committees in WGC to help promote their? Sorry, hear me?
You are not quite clear.
Sorry. As local director, how will you work with the different standing committees to help promote their projects, as well as to collaborate with the members of the various standing committees here and more?
Repeat, please. We're not hearing.
Sorry about that. Hear me now?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so my question is, as local director, how would you work with the different standing committee members at WGC to help with collaborating with projects here at UE Mona?
Oh, thank you for your question. First, we will appoint a local officer here for a standing committee. Well, now we have a SCORP as a standing committee, and if necessary, we will put forward in place another standing committee, and that person will liaise with the officers down there, and we will talk about getting more involved in the events you guys are carrying out. Because, like, it will be feasible if these events are midway. Some last year we did it was not JAMSA, but it was MedSci. We did a project where we went to St. Anne, and we got a lot of turnout from both campuses. So we will come together and speak on, you know, doing activities that everybody can conform and come together, so it will work out the way we want. Thank you. Any other questions?
No more questions, Jadine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, running for National Officer of Research Exchange, we have Ms. Carol Madu. Round of applause, please, guys. Encourage her.
Can anyone hear me?
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carol Madu, and I hail from the Western Jamaica campus. It is my absolute pleasure and privilege to run for the National Officer of Research Exchange. It is my hope that my speech will not bore you to death, but refresh you. With that being said, let us begin. First things first, I am about to tell you a secret that no one has ever told you before. Now I am going to divulge this secret. And I kindly ask you to raise your hand if you believe it to be true, or keep your hand down if you believe it to be false. Your answer could be right or wrong, who knows? All right, and Thea in the audience will assist me and tell me, because I can't really see you guys, whose hands are up and so forth. First question. How many people believe Mount Everest to be the tallest mountain in the world? Hands up if you believe, hands down if you do not believe it. I see when Jesse has people with
We
hands
have
up.
one hand up, Carol.
One hand
One
up.
hand. One
Thank
hand.
you, Thea. Thank you,
Oh,
Thea.
three. Three hands.
Three?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lovely, lovely, lovely. What if I told you, now don't be upset with me. What if I told you that that was incorrect? The tallest mountain in the world is Mauna Kea. I know it's crazy. Yes, I know. Mauna Kea is 33,000 feet, while Mount Everest is 29,000 feet. The difference is that Mount Everest is measured above sea level, while Mauna Kea in Hawaii is measured below sea level, making Mauna Kea technically the world's tallest peak. Second question. How many persons believe that the Nile is the longest river in the world? And Thea will assist me. Here, one person, two persons. Anyone?
1 minute. 2 person.
Two? Thank you. Well, what if I told you you were correct? Folks, the point I am trying to make with this exercise is that the only way to distinguish between fact and fiction is through research. Research is a very integral part of humanity. It is the key to the future and is the tool we use to propel us forward into an era of greater innovation. Research is like water. If kept stagnant like a lake or trapped, eutrophication occurs. The BOD goes up, the animals perish, and so forth. There is no progress. However, if research is kept flowing like a river, it gives the life to the fishes within it, and the plants flourish around it. It goes on to join other rivers and forms larger water bodies. Research is an essential part of life and is the reason where we are where we are. There are so many technological breakthroughs taken for granted. The radio, the airplanes, medicine, Wi-Fi, ships, even the light bulb. These are succulent fruits of research. Without research, the human race will be kept in a stagnant, horrible limbo of inefficiency, lack of creativity, and mediocrity. This excitement and fire of life would vanish like water vapor. This is why I'm so passionate about research and why I've decided to do my part in keeping this fire burning. It would be an honor, ladies and gentlemen, to serve as your National Officer of Research Exchange. A vote for me is a vote for a person who will not give you 100%, 200%. A vote for me is a vote for innovation. A vote for me is a vote for advancement. A vote for me will keep the fire of research burning. A vote for me would not be a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. A vote for me is what I kindly ask you for. Thank you very much.
Okay. Carol, is it? Carol, is it?
Yes, that is correct.
You spent a lot of time elaborating on your passion for research and what research is, but I didn't get what you're actually planning to do as the National Research Officer. Could you elaborate on your plans?
Thank you for that question. Well, as the officer, I will make sure that I assiduously do my responsibilities, get the quadrants on time. I work very well with my team members, be open to criticism, open to correction, and I will ensure that all the beliefs and all the duties everyone expects of me, that I'll fulfill it to the best of my capability. Thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, good afternoon. Two questions. So one, what are your plans to help promote research among medical students? And the second question is, do you have any plans for establishing Scory's exchange arm within IFMSA?
Well, firstly, I plan to use social media to get everyone more aware because I know, like for example, in the States they have many forms of research, but not everyone is very in tune to it. So I'll first and foremost use the power of social media to get everyone more informed, see if I can get some clubs involved. And for your second question about my plans, I'm open to all sorts of plans. Firstly, I'm open to Kingston giving me some ideas. I'm coming very blank and open and hoping everyone can give me fresh ideas. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Madhu. That seems to be it. No more questions. Okay, up next we have the National Officer on Human Rights and Peace, Ms. Shanique Dixon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll begin with the statement, no man left behind. You see, the statement really embodies the true essence of human rights and peace. Because we live in a society where it is all too easy to get left behind and to leave others behind. Even Protege gave credence to this in his Truths and Rights lyrics, where he rightly sang that people don't know where to escape to, where to be free. He said that there's no humanity in this reality. And it will be my mission as National Officer of Rights and Peace to ensure that no man gets left behind. You see, one of the main charges of this standing committee is to ensure that everyone has access to their equal human rights. I know you guys may not know a lot about me, but I can assure you that I'm a very caring and compassionate person, and this has moved me to tackle various human rights issues, for example, hunger. As a previous committee member of the Optimist Club, I participated in the organization of fundraising activities for food drives for local children's homes here. Childcare and education is also something that is important to me. So I have participated in an education program at the We Care Basic School. I have volunteered at the Cornell Regional's pediatric ward as well. Assisting the elderly, that is something very dear to me, and this is where I've extended myself. My experience at the Hope Hospice as well is one of my best volunteering memories to date. I have also participated in all JAMSA's activities here at WJC, but in addition to carrying out these ventures as National Officer of Rights and Peace, I also intend to implement a JAMSA volunteering collaboration program with the Ministry of Health's Compassionate Care Program that will enable students to ensure that the rights of patients are being met, and it will also teach them how to incorporate compassion into their future as future medical practitioners. And while I'm exercising my role as National Officer of Rights and Peace, I cannot be partial to the medical student fraternity because, in order for us to be efficient vessels of peace, we cannot be deprived of our own rights. And this is particularly important to me as a medical student here at WJC, where we don't have equal opportunities. And I know the experience at the Mona campus is not one without difficulties as well. So I intend to make an avenue for students to bring forth any issues that they may have to be open and take advantage of the Dean's commitment to student success. So, as National Officer of Rights and Peace, I will build on the efforts of my predecessors, enact, motivate, and foster the talents and abilities of medical students, and work as a team with the entire JAMSA so I can help those who are vulnerable and being left behind so that they too can take full advantage of their human rights. As I work along with all the competent members of JAMSA, we'll be able to disperse joy and love in the community, and we can create a fair society. And a fair society is a peaceful society. So, ladies and gentlemen, there of JAMSA, and here as well, I am Shanique Dixon of MBBS 2K22, and I implore you guys that I'm a candidate that can bring results. So, I implore you to vote for me.
Okay, up next we'll have Ms. Moya Palmer, after which we'll take questions from either.
President Alexander Powell, Vice President of the JAMSA 2018 to 2019 Board, My fellow medical students, a pleasant afternoon to you all. I stand here humbly vying for the position of National Officer on Human Rights and Peace. Now, while I'm speaking, I want you all to remember why we're here today. To be trained to serve the unloved, the uncared for, those who have been struck unfairly by fate's hand. And that is why I stand before you here today, running to be the National Officer on Human Rights and Peace. And this is the motivation behind my goals for SCORP 2019 to 2020. Firstly, I want to expand our service by reaching out to other homes, not just our current Jamaica National Children's Home, but I want us to have at least 3 projects each semester. So it could range from drives to even home visits. Now, ideally, I want one of my 3 projects each semester to be a blood drive. So as medical students, we know that we have a need for blood in our country. And what better thing to do than promote awareness and to even give ourselves and to encourage our fellow schoolmates to give? Next, I would like to continue our regular mentorship program, and I'd like to work with the newly elected members of the SCORP executive on how we can revamp that program and make it more appealing for the children there. Lastly, I want to be more inclusive in our meetings. So currently, we have our meetings in a tutorial room, but we have a WJC branch. So why can't they be a part of it too? Because you know, the sharing of opinions and ideas makes for more creative and open-minded future doctors that are more ready and willing to serve. So I'd like some of our meetings to be streamed to WJC so all members can be included. Once again, I'm Moya Palmer, and I would like to be your National Officer on Human Rights and Peace.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have any questions for Ms. Dixon or Ms. Palmer?
Question for Ms. Dixon. I'm not sure if you're aware of what your portfolio entails, but I heard you say something about life at WJC versus life at Mona. How does being SCORP, the National Officer of the Standing Committee of Human Rights and Peace, how does that fall under your portfolio? I'm just not seeing it because you didn't speak much about mentorship and advocacy. You were speaking more about administrative duties, which do not fall under your portfolio. So could you please elaborate on that?
Okay, as human national officer of human rights and peace. First, okay, let me address the issue of WJC first. I included that to say, as national officer of rights and peace, medical students, we first need to ensure that we aren't ignoring our rights as well. So I'm saying that in order for the general medical students, not just only here at WJC, in general, that we are well cared for, that our rights are being put in place. So everyone, for example, implementing peer counseling and mentorship programs for our own students so that they will be able to assist others. So that is what I meant by that statement. In addition to advocacy programs, I mentioned that I have been involved in some, and I expounded by saying that I will continue to do those. For example, I will continue to facilitate or plan education programs and outreach programs to various schools, not only in the local vicinity. I will also continue to visit healthcare hospices and so forth, continue to allow the JAMSA members to volunteer at hospitals and so forth, because that is how we really extend our help to the community. Any more questions?
Good afternoon to both candidates. So a question to both of you. I think it's a question I ask every incoming SCORP director. So on IFMSA SCORP's priority list, a number of their issues are, I'm not used with issues, but a number of their priorities are issues that are taboo or not really spoken or touched much in Jamaica. What would your approach be to these issues, if any?
for one example, homosexuality, there is a bias against people who have HIV/AIDS, for example. So, as National Officer of Rights and Peace, everyone must be treated fairly, of course, and these people also have feelings, and they also need to have equal access to everything else that we have. So, mentorship programs can be set up for them as well so that they have a voice, so that we and education programs as well in the general public to educate others and make sure that others aren't being discriminatory towards these ones.
Good afternoon again. So, as it relates to those taboo issues, so currently in SCORP, during our meetings, we tend to talk about those issues that people don't really talk about because I'd like to continue that. As I said, in one of my goals is to continue the regular discussions that we have on current affairs. Because first thing we have to do is we have to educate our medical students and we have to get them to share opinions on these taboo matters. And after that, we can go out into the field and we can reach out to those who are affected by these issues. So, for example, I'm currently project director of SCORP. So one of the things we had planned to do was a cervical cancer awareness month. So what we had, well, awareness project, and we were supposed to go to Maxfield Park Children's Home. So unfortunately, that didn't happen because what happened is that the home was kind of scared of having us come in to talk to the children about cervical cancer. So that's something we'd want to work on further. So more of our homes are open to these issues that affect the teens as well, the people that live at the home. So first we're going to educate our members and then go out in the field and do our work. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Up next, we have our candidate for National Officer of Medical Education, Ms. Nidhi Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. One of my greatest accomplishments was putting together my team. We went from having 2 active members to 9 in my executive. My team is my strength and the reason for the successful implementation of past projects. My gratitude is inexpressible. Over the last term, we have made progress in the curriculum development and burnout and wellness projects. We have initiated the second global medical student partnerships and have expanded the objectives of the Lunch Hour series. The Burnout series was first implemented to help students overcome the physical and mental exhaustion that accompanies the demanding MBBS course. 2 Burnout and Wellness Week projects have been successfully implemented, and I want to thank Ms. Moya Palmer for that. At the moment, we are working on a burnout and wellness support group that is currently being put together. In the curriculum development, we have participated in the reviewing of the MBBS exit survey with the faculty. We are also in the process of initiating a curriculum analysis where we wish to review the curriculum across the world and suggest appropriate and effective changes to our MBBS curriculum. The Global Medical Student Partnership is an initiative by students at the University of Toronto. Each month, we are given a case to discuss the differences between the Caribbean and Canada. Last year, there were only 5 candidates. This year, we have 12. In the Lunch Hour series, we have expanded our objectives to informing students about electives, immunizations, and so on. We're currently putting together our information in our OneDrive for the perusals of students at any given time. In SCOME, we believe in transparency, and therefore we are currently placing all our monthly reports in our OneDrive so that students will become aware of what we do and what we are. There is so much to do, and it can be done if only students support and aid us in our endeavors. We can bring our education to the next level. Our goal is to break student apathy, that to show that our opinions and suggestions matter to the faculty, and that and they will take those into consideration. Open your defenses a little and let us in. I have experienced thus far that teamwork definitely makes the dream work. Work with us and be a part of our team. Thank you.
So good afternoon. So I know SCOMI has been doing a lot of long-term projects. In the upcoming year, are there any new projects that you'd be interested in adding to this list?
So currently, we are in the process of implementing a medical skills workshop where we'll be focusing on teaching students about medicine examinations because we have realized that the only time they learn before third year is the IMP, which unfortunately has issues. And so we want to give students the opportunity to learn them with the residents, with consultants who are available, and to make that more frequent so that students will be confident when they go to their exams and they go to their patients. That's one project. A second project is to expand to not just the first and the fifth, up to the fifth years, but also for those considering internship and residency. So we are at the moment collaborating with the UE Youth Alumni as well as ACP in informing students about internship and what to do next. Those are two projects so far. Also, we are in the process of formulating the questions to ask in our different surveys so that we can get more information about the different clerkships as well as the preclinical level. There's also more yet to come.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Okay, we're about to start the debate for the executive body, starting with our candidate for Vice President of Development, Ms. Jillian Campbell, who is currently at WJC. Round of applause for Jillian.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jillian Campbell, and I stand here as the current JAMSA Local Director at the Western Jamaica campus. Leading the team at WJC, I've learned how to be decisive, yet at the same time embrace change. I have also been privileged to hold several other leadership positions in my life, including being deputy head girl at the Montego Bay High School for Girls. And with each position, not only have I managed to make a difference, but I have developed even greater interpersonal skills. My experience as local director has allowed me, along with my hardworking executive, to execute several meaningful projects to have an impact both on us as medical students and on the wider community in which we serve. Among these projects was a major street feeding project in partnership with the Lions Club of Montego Bay, where we had the pleasure of walking the streets and giving nearly 100 homeless and mentally challenged persons a balanced meal in accordance with Malnutrition Awareness Week. Serving in this organization has given me a greater understanding of the importance of being not only medical professionals, but also humanitarians. Our most recent project aims to assist a fellow classmate who is in great need. Moreover, the job at hand is not just about a title or position, but it is about action and making a difference. As your Vice President of Development, I will have the duty of overseeing the election process. The model that has been developed by the current VPD demonstrates inclusiveness across both campuses with the use of technology, and it has been exceptional. I intend to follow suit while filling all the gaps and making the necessary corrections to ensure we have an even smoother election season. Additionally, I'll be required to identify areas where JAMSA needs to be improved. I don't aim to act independently, but rather inquire from the members of the association, as the success of the JAMSA year depends on satisfying the needs of our members. Correspondingly, self and peer evaluations are necessary in order to bring about honest change and development within the Executive Council and by extension the wider association. Being at WJC has also taught me to work with the little and make much. From financial challenges to lack of support, we fought all the odds to do great things. I will honestly say that I am unaware of all the resources that I will be able to access in Kingston, but I am certain that I have the ability to work tirelessly and diligently, regardless of the circumstances. I have a proven record of doing just that through sheer determination. So make the right choice. I have the passion, I know my purpose, and we will make progress. Vote me for your Vice President of Development. Thank you.
Good afternoon. So what are your ideas for capacity building within JAMSA?
Well, as when I just started, I was local director, Marika again, shout out to her. She had a seminar with us that was great. We learned about time management, other stuff, and I intend to do something similar at least at the beginning for the exec because once we have a cohesive executive, then we can by extension have a better association.
Jillian, you might have to repeat that. We weren't hearing you quite well just now.
Are you hearing me any better?
Yes, we are.
Right. I was saying that the current VPD, she held a capacity building seminar for the executive at the start of July, I believe, in the summer period. So I intend to do that as well because, as I was saying, once you have a cohesive executive, then it can be extended into the wider association.
Hi, Jillian. So you have a fair idea of some of the things that I did to get elections running the way it's going right now. Do you have any ideas for next year, especially since we have a new school that's very interested in joining?
Well, I have learned a lot as I was actively involved in the process down here. Um, it's all about time management and getting things done earlier and having a great relationship with individuals at the different campuses because then your team is better and you get things done faster and more efficiently and it avoids all the last minute rush and pressure and stress on other persons and the election will in the end turn out better, smoother.
Thanks, Jillian. No more questions from here. Any questions from WJC? You guys have? No? Okay. All right. So up next, we have our candidate for Vice President of Finance, Ms. Taraloy Branford, who is currently at WJC. Round of applause for her, please. Hi, Tara. We're not hearing you quite clearly here. Well, not at all. Could you check your microphone, please? Thank you. That's great. It's off now.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, it's on.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The only thing that will put money in your pocket is action. Money, although a vital asset to possess, is one that is remarkably elusive. So now, my associates, this is where efficient money management comes into play. I can assure you that one of the main reasons our organization is still standing is because we were financially governed effectively. And with more efficient management, we can continue to improve on the progress that our association has been making. With my leadership, together, we can set up clear and reasonable goals to ascertain while exploring new and favorable avenues for earning money, which can include, but is by no means limited to, effectively organizing fundraisers that will garner sufficient profits in order to fund our outreach projects. In addition to this, I will make it my goal to develop plausible budgets that will assist in safeguarding the maintenance of the association. How do you know that you can trust me? Well, first and foremost, I'm not new to this kind of role. I served as the treasurer of the Montego Bay Community College Red Cross Society for the year 2016-2017. Moreover, I was the secretary treasurer for the Western Pelicans Optimist Club for the year 2017-2018, and I am currently the outgoing treasurer for the WJC branch of JAMSA for the year 2018-2019. Additionally, apart from my accolades, I am also a genuine candidate that is capable and determined. Once given a task, I will work assiduously to ensure the task is completed to the best of my ability. However, no man is perfect, and I can guarantee you that if I fall short in any way, I am open to corrections and will labor to improve on my shortcomings. Still, it is important to note that there is no I in team. And in order to have a productive year, we will often rely on each other for support and assistance. So I look forward to working with you, my associates, so that we can make JAMSA year 2019-2020 a productive and good one. Vote Tara for VP of Finance. Any questions?
Yes, good afternoon. Hi, Kara.
Hey,
my question is, what fundraising ventures do you have in mind for JAMSA?
Okay, so I said that we'd be open to exploring new ones, but currently we can have different drives, we can have different food, well, not drives. We can have different sales, so we can have different fruit sales, cake sales, and also we can venture in promoting different functions that we can garner money from, as well as seeking sponsorship.
Okay, Kara. I noticed that you said sales and what you said functions and stuff.
Yes, I did.
Those, in my opinion, I'm not sure if you share the same sentiments. Those aren't sustainable methods of income. And knowing the capacity in which JAMSA needs to work, what's the longevity of these fundraisers that you're planning? How are they going to sustainably propel the activities of JAMSA?
So basically, it doesn't have to be a one-off thing. We can make it like an annual large fundraising activity that we can garner to get sufficient funds for our association. It doesn't have to be a one-on-one, like isolated activities. It can be, well, isolated small activities. It can be a major fundraiser.
Okay, I'm asking because based on previous experience and what I've seen JAMSA do, what JAMSA has done this year, they practically did what you're saying you're going to do with the bake sales, fruit sales, and that stuff. And it hasn't really worked for them. So I'm asking, where's the innovation that you're bringing to the table?
Okay. So as I said before, I'm not perfect and I'm open to exploring new ideas and new avenues, but I'm sure that once I arrive in Kingston, I'll be more accustomed to how things are run down there, so I'll be better able to give new ideas. But for instance, we can try different things. We can even host a marathon and, garner money from persons who are participating with proper advertising. We can get the word out there, and the more persons who participate, the more money and the better funding JAMSA will get. Thank you. Any more questions?
Hi.
Hi.
Are you aware that this year JAMSA tried to send some delegates to the International IFMSA meet, and what we occurred was some financial problems due to late sending out of sponsors. So I'm asking, do you have any plans put in place to try to increase the amount of delegates and start fundraising early enough so that we can have maximum persons attending the IFMSA meet in 2020?
As I said before, we can seek sponsorship from different associations to get the money, and the earlier we do it, the better. So we don't wait until a couple months or just a couple weeks before we actually start working from the previous year to start getting things underway. Any more questions?
Thanks, Tara. That seems to be it.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Sure. All right. Up next, we have a candidate for Vice President of Communications who will now introduce herself. Since it's a mode of communication.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are we this afternoon? Okay, guys. I come before you this evening not only with promises that I hold for the future, but also facts of my achievements thus far in this position. Most of you know that I am the current VPC for JAMSA, and I'm hoping to continue my legacy in this position. Some of my goals that I stood here, well, not in this exact room, but in LT3 last year, I stood before you and promised you a few things, and I would like to show you that I have achieved most, if not all of them. I promised the revamping of the Instagram page. I'm proud to let you know that we have increased visitation on the page for an average of 30% per month. There is an impression of an average of 200 persons per month. Increased activity by 21% by posting and always having something up on the story for persons to see. We have increased page visits by 13%, and I have also established communication with WJC through their local director, Ms. Campbell. There was also the promise of the revamping or creation of a new website, and I'm also proud to stand here before you and tell you with the hope of Mr. Powell and our main coordinator for our website, we were able to establish a new website. As you can see before you, this is the website right now. And I'm proud to say that it works smoothly and efficiently. And due to this website, we are able to stream our elections to JAMSA as well as have our elections online. There was also the JAMSA magazine, which I worked with Mr. Omar. We created Heartbeat, and it was more targeted towards the first years as they came in. We wanted to inspire them and show them the subcommittees that existed, the standing committees, that existed within JAMSA, and we wanted to show them all the achievements that each standing committee has made thus far and the potential that each standing committee has. So what are my goals for next year since I've achieved most of the goals that I've already set out? One of the ideas that I have thus far is I would like to make the JAMSA office more usable. So you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with communication? I'm hoping that through advertising and Instagram, etc., that we will be able to find a different revenue for JAMSA through social media and the use of this JAMSA office. I also have plans in place to help with the increased number of persons attending the IFMSA meet in 2020 so that we have increased numbers of persons going to this meeting. Also, the creation of a communication team. So I did not format a team last year in my role, and that's mainly because I took on most of the task by myself. So I'm hoping that in this new electoral time frame that I'm able to delegate a PRO in each standing committee, and we meet on a monthly basis to discuss and come together with the plans and activities that each standing committee has. Currently, we have a calendar that goes up each month, October, November. I'm sure you guys have seen it on the Instagram or on the website, etc. And we, Omar and I, tried to show the activities that each standing committee has in weeks in advance so that each person can look at it and say, okay, I would like to attend this one, or I like to attend this activity, and put things in place so that we can increase the amount of persons attending each activity. I'd just like to end my speech by saying leadership is not about the next election. Leadership is about the next generation. So vote for who you think. If you have confidence within me to continue my role, vote for me for VPC. Thank you. Any questions?
Hi, good afternoon. So, one question. So, I see that a lot of work has been done on the Instagram page and the website, and I think it's really great. Do you have any other avenues to grasp the attention of medical students for JAMSA? Because a lot of them still have a lot of questions and they feel like they don't know where to get this information from.
So with the help of my PRO team or my communication team, the aim is to try to involve as much persons from each class. So I'm hoping to get a person from each standing committee as well as a representative from each class so that we are able to easily communicate and express our ideas and any activities that will be taking place in JAMSA. And so they are also able to make any comments via these persons, so they will always have one person that they can go to, and that person comes to me so that we can take any queries, any ideas that they may have.
Good afternoon.
Got you.
Okay, you said you had plans for persons to attend the IFMSA conference. What are those plans exactly?
Okay, so my plans are to work with the new VPC of Finance, helping with sponsorship. The plan is to showcase what JAMSA is about more on our website and our Instagram so that when we have sponsors and we're asking them for sponsorship, they can see what JAMSA is about through all of the pictures and activities that we have had thus far. And I've already collected these past pictures from all the activities from each subcommittee thus far, and we're going to put them up on the website. So when we send out to ask for sponsorships, we can say, you can visit our website to see what JAMSA has been doing and what we plan to do for the future.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. So I noticed on our Instagram page there are several posts about Trinidad and Tobago. While medical school doesn't just include students from Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, what are your plans to include diversity in the JAMSA platform, well, on the JAMSA platform?
So to correct that part, it's not only things about Trinidad and Tobago that are posted on JAMSA. I try to include other international days. I have the International Day of Peace for Gandhi, that's up there. We also have blood drive and other things from different countries. So my problem was mainly that, well, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, so I'm going to know when my national holidays are. I'm not going to know exactly when the other countries have their national holidays. So that's where my PRO team or my communication team comes in, where we will meet each month and we would establish whatever activities and events that we would like to have posted on the page before it's posted. So I would always be up to date with when we have any national holidays that we should post on our Instagram so that persons are aware and so other countries can feel included in JAMSA, as well as whenever there are any activities that are going to be taking place, everyone will be informed and so up to date.
Hi, good evening. Regarding your plans for the JAMS website, I think it's very admirable what you're trying to do. But with regards to centralizing communications, from what I understand, all standing committees have their own Instagram page and a PRO. So why was nothing done to centralize the process? Now I'm asking about why hasn't anything been done and what are you going to do to correct that? Because they do exist. So what are you doing in the future to enlist them, make them more involved?
Okay. So I am aware that some subcommittees already have their various PROs and that they also have their various Instagram. If you pay attention to our Instagram, you would see us reposting from all these various Instagram pages. So my plan is to try to incorporate the team. So we'd have a team instead of individuals in each subcommittee. We would have a team of persons and we would all work together instead of persons posting separately. One of the reasons why the PROs did not meet properly, it's on my path, and I promise to correct that this time around. I wasn't aware that all the committees had a PRO. I was aware that SCORA had one, and I was aware of SCOME, but I wasn't aware of the other subcommittees, and that's on my path. And I promise to fix this because that's one of my main achievements for this next electoral period.
Okay, so a huge part of elections, especially as well as orientation, starting and ending, is ensuring that we start with a bang and end with a bang. And of course, there's a lot of explosions in between. How are you going to ensure that there's sufficient communication throughout the entire term, including interactivity amongst all the campuses as well as those who intend to join?
So the interaction and inclusion started with WJC, and I'm currently working with Miss Campbell over at WJC. If you take a look at our Instagram, you are going to see photos from the same meet that they had on the streets where they went to feed homeless people and give them a well-balanced meal. That is also up there. And I also speak to her about any activities that they're having planned so that we can incorporate them into the Instagram as well as showcase what they're doing at WJC because sometimes we don't pay attention to WJC because they're just over there and we're here. So I try to include them more and I'm hoping that we can continue to include them more with whoever becomes their new local director. Also, okay, so to include the new and incoming group, I'm hoping that they would have, well, they do have a representative. And so I will establish communication with this representative so that we can all feel included in what JAMSA has planned for the future. I don't know if much of you know this, but a lot was done in the last electoral group was based on more groundwork and concretion of any ideas so that the future electoral group has a base to stand on properly. A lot of groundwork was done, and I'm hoping that this groundwork is enough to keep pushing and to make JAMSA what it should be.
Thank you so much, Thea. You can have a seat. All right, up next, we're going to have our Vice President of External Operations, candidate for that post, speaking with us, Mr. Akil Gardner from WJC. Round of applause for Mr. Gardner, please.
Good afternoon. It is my belief that the greatest leaders are the greatest servants because they lead by example. My name is Akil Gardner, and I am vying for the post of Vice President of External Operations in our Jamaica Medical Students Association. I believe that I am the best candidate for this position because of three main attributes. The first being that I have a proven track record of leadership. Not only have I held leadership positions in various capacities over the past few years, I have also given maximum effort towards these roles because I do not believe in holding a position without any work or impact to show for it. Roles I have held include being the current guild representative for the Faculty of Medical Sciences at the UWI Mona Western Jamaica campus. I have also served as a lieutenant governor in Key Club Jamaica District 2016 to 2017, where I received an award for my distinguished service from Key Club's international governing body at the end of my tenure. In that same academic year, I was also deputy head boy of my alma mater, Cornwall College, and that's just to name a few. The second of the three attributes which make me qualified for this post is my passion for service. Key Club is a service-focused organization, and my time there developed my love for aiding those in need and serving causes greater than my own. The third and final major attribute which I would bring to the table in this position is that I am a team player. I consider JAMSA as an organization to be a large team, with the executive body being a microcosm of this larger team. Therefore, it is my belief that for our team to be effective, we must, as a body, be greater than the sum of our individual parts. Thus, I intended to be a consistent contributor to the exec body on a whole, not just putting effort into my specific portfolio. Apart from the attributes I just spoke on, I would also use my social skills to bring the club more out into our community, not only for service projects, but in partnering with organizations within the Faculty of MedSci which are similar to us. For example, the Nursing Students Association and the UE Physical Therapy Students Association. This would be in an attempt to build a family vibe among future medical professionals, not only MBBS and DDS students. I will also use creative methods to develop and implement fundraising strategies for JAMSA, boost our PR and mass media interactions, as well as fulfill the other duties assigned to my portfolio according to Section 8 of the UE Medical Students Association Constitution. All that being said, vote me for your VP of External Operations. Let Akil take the wheel. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Good afternoon. So two questions. Well, one was one that was raised earlier. What are your ideas for fundraising within JAMSA? And the second one is, apart from just building, strengthening ties within the faculty, what about ties with commercial Jamaica or other associations that might have key interests with JAMSA?
Okay, thank you for those questions. Okay, so first, in terms of fundraising, now I have general experience with raising. One of the main ways in which you raise sponsorship is by when you approach entities in general. If you have, for instance, if I have a project in mind, say for instance, I want to have an outreach to an elderly home, I could, and say they need a television, I could make a proposal, or we as a body could draft a proposal to say somewhere like Courts or Singer. And generally, these companies have allocations in their budget which allow them to spend money for these causes. So actually, you're helping them because when they do these things, they receive kickbacks from the government. So that's one strategy I would use because I know a lot of commercial entities usually have this in place. So that's one thing, that's sponsorship. Separate and apart from that, outside of like bake sales and stuff like that, which can be effective, I would allude to the idea that one of my cohorts, Tara mentioned about something like a marathon. We could also host an event such as, just for argument's sake, say now it's carnival time, we just, like I said, for argument's sake, it's just a brainstorming at the moment. Say you have like a pre-carnival party or something that JAMSA put on, and those funds could go towards something. So that's just some ideas. No, you said ties with commercial entities. Generally, when you're approaching these places for sponsorship, they want to know how their brand can benefit from being associated with you. So, for instance, if we're hosting an event at school, and in fact, being a member of the guild here, I actually have experience. So, the Sosa rep and I don't want to be going off on a tangent, but I'm just making a point. The Sosa rep and I held a jerk chicken sale last semester, and we got sponsorship from CPJ, Caribbean Producers Jamaica, and we also got sponsorship from Best Dressed Chicken. So we approached them with our proposals well enough in advance so that it could be considered. And then we had their brandishings at our event because they would like to know that persons in the community coming to your event are seeing them and they're getting value for the investment that they're making into you. And
Okay, so you spoke a lot about basically, I'm going to say colloquial fundraisers, right? And getting sponsorship for events such as bake sales. And you mentioned a barbecue, that is a barbecue. You said a jerk chicken thing, right? Right. What about medicine? Like, I'm not here, you haven't said anything about how medicine is incorporated. Like, a lot of secular stuff, but where's the medicine? The medicine. Where's the medical impact?
Okay, no, you raise a fair point. What I would say, for instance, generally, during my speech, honestly, most of the outreach I was referring to is not specifically medical oriented, but since you would like to take that route, what I could say is, for instance, you have relatively large organizations, say the Jamaica Medical Medical Doctors Association, such organizations. You have, for instance, the breast cancer people. You have persons who are focused on diabetes. So if if we are taking on a project that involves any particular health problem, we could actually approach one of these organizations to partner with us, even if they're not giving money, but a lot of the times they can give us resources. So we wouldn't even need to have particular fundraisers for these things. So that is one strategy to approach organizations which are relevant to the undertakings that we're trying to accomplish. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Akil, that seems to have answered this question. Any more questions? Any questions from WJC? No, your question, Akil, already. Okay.
Hi, good evening. So you've spoken about fundraising and liaising with external entities, right? But I have a concern, well, a question rather, regarding how do you plan on incorporating JAMSA's presence into nationwide activities? Have you been considering partnering with the Ministry of Health or PAHO by any chance? And if so, how?
In all honesty, I did not consider those specific organizations, but as I just stated in answering the previous question, I said that whenever tackling something, any organization which at the time in the process of thinking we see could help. So that's actually a good idea, which if you guys vote me into the position, I will consider approaching such entities. Honestly, it's not something I considered before, but it is something I would. Thank you for that suggestion.
Okay, then.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. That's it. All right. So up next, we have the candidate for Vice President of Internal Operations, Mr. Rajay Smith. Round of applause for Rajay, please.
Greetings to all. I hear it? Greetings to all. Here stand their current local director for UE Mona Jamsa. He's seeking to climb the ladder of leadership to have a potentiating effect on the growth and development of this medical student-based association. I, Rajay Smith, am encased by leadership experience, effective teamwork skills, amazing time management skills, and the ability to complete assigned tasks to the greatest extent, even with limited resources. Currently being local director of JAMSA at UMONA has given me a first-hand look at the works of the association. My current role has also allowed me to make strong connections and bonds with students, but more importantly, members of the faculty. I am well known by the medical student community, which allows for a great level of communication, which I can use to foster collaboration among various student groups. I have great plans for the orientation period, which entails scouting for new members of each standing committee, which will be discussed with the various standing committee members. As the bigger the pool of students we gather, the greater the association will be. I seek to work alongside all members of the JAMSA executive, especially the VPC and the VPD, in promoting and seeking ways for development of the association. Before stepping up to the plate to apply for the position, I consulted our current VPI, Omar, about what the role entails based on his tenure in the role, and from our discussion, it triggered a new interest in me as the role branches and blooms into my area of specialty, working together with my national officers to watch JAMSA grow, grow, and grow. I have chewed, swallowed, digested, and extracted the rose of the VP position from the Constitution. So as nutrients, information feels it's a part of me, and as I know my hand back, so will I abide by the Constitution and know and carry out my roles and add flavor and spice to all the standing committees. This monologue goes to let you all know that despite my unfortunate case of being uncontested, I am the best man for the job. I more than I more than anybody else want to see JAMSA soar to new heights. And Jamaicans say, before you dance abroad, you have to dance a yard. And in this case, internal affairs and development is yard. So concreting this end of the foundation, we can hopefully vastly and more efficiently spread our wings and take flight to becoming renowned across the island and wider Caribbean. Vote empowerment for your standing committees, vote progressive development, vote towards continued path of success. Vote RJ, he will lead the way. I thank you.
Hi, good afternoon again. My question, Mr. Smith. As BPI, you are in charge of orientation, which is one of the most critical point for the organization. What are your plans to boost JAMSA during orientation period, or what are your plans for orientation on a whole?
All right, thank you for that question. Well, orientation period is a period of time where students are enthusiastic about coming to med school and they're basically frightened for things in a sense. Because them just are coming, them new, them want to be a part of everything. And when that comes to certain aspects, as a basically a vibes person, I'll use that attribute of mine to scout and bring in members. So starting out with the for orientation, I'll have further discussions with the standing committee members and the exec on a whole to have a great pool of introductory period. But the main key factor is the JAMSA City, where this year it was hosted on a day that school wasn't in session for the class of 2K23. So the turnout wasn't as prospective as we would want it to be. So hopefully this year it can be. I'll be in talks with the dean to let it as it can be added to the curriculum. Would go and make it have a basically an incentive, a strong incentive that people will be readily have a strong interest to join. So like exploring our projects and giving them ideas as to what we do and how they can participate to enrich themselves and the community.
So good afternoon. What ideas do you have to foster collaboration among the different standing committees?
I thank you for that question. As in my role of local director, one of my agenda points was to host a collaborative event with two standing committees. So the event that I chose, it was I don't remember the event that we did, but in sense it was about hand washing, the hand washing seminar. It was hand washing week. It was IIPW, International Infection Prevention Week in October. I collaborated with SCOM and SCOF, where SCOF presented the side of the hand washing. So public health, washing hands, we had a demonstration session in a lecture theater so, with standing committee members and hand washing. And then we had Dr. Royce Green present on a special type of bacteria that is mainly prevalent in the hospitals. So with that experience, I think I can go forward and initiate a lot more of them.
Before I ask my question, I'd like to greet our Medical Students Association over in Austria that's currently watching our IG live. Round of applause for Austria, guys. Right. Okay, so Mr. Smith, my question for you. So internal operations is the most front-facing aspect of JAMSA. Pretty much while the VPC might work her heart out and the executive might work their heart out, if internal operations is not correctly managed, it's pretty easy for somebody to say JAMSA has failed. What are your plans as VPI to ensure that the pyramid or the hierarchy of things runs smoothly up and down, to ensure there's efficient communication, efficient execution of projects, etc. So to the public's eye, because we do things that the public may not see, for them to say, okay, JAMSA was it this year.
Thank you for the question. As I stated before, as I stated before, I have chewed and digested the Constitution. That falls under my Constitution in terms of reiterating factors that will help to boost the management of the organization. So, give me a minute, please. All right. So basically, as I said, more collaborative events with the JAMSA standing committees. And hopefully, we can have a bigger turnout in the event. So hopefully, let's say you can't really teach old dog new tricks. And based on my experience being a part of most of the standing committees, I try my best to be a part of most of them, see the running of it as my position as local director. So we have to can't teach all our new tricks. We have to the new pool of students coming in. We have to set a firm foundation to compete and try to pull them in. Once we have a bigger pool of students and we can hold their attention, well, then we should have a bigger association in terms of bigger pooling of resources and have bigger turnouts for events. I hope to work with all members of the standing committees, have my group, and host monthly or even bi-weekly interactions as what the plans may be to go forward.
Okay, so my issue with what you just said is you can't teach old dogs new tricks, right? But the thing is, your new people are going to be the first years, right? Which means we leave 4 years who aren't being targeted and they aren't participating. Now, in addition to the fact that we're leaving 4 year groups, right? You're leaving 4 year groups out of your answer. We also have to consider our friends upstairs, right there. We have WJC to think about, and we do in the future hope to onboard AIMS, and all of this is including the up and down of your portfolio. So, how do you plan to get everybody working cohesively? Because this is a national organization.
Thank you for the addition to the question. So branching out is something I left out, and apologies on my part, as my mind is directed to the internal running, so it's not branching. That's on my part. That's error on my part. Right? So we hopefully, well, we will find the best ways possible to incorporate everybody in the runnings of JAMSA this year internally, and we should working with WJC. I'm not sure how the um, organization at the new addition will work, but whoever is in charge and leading forward, they can have a close contact with me to best develop them so we can branch out as a organization.
Hi, evening. So you mentioned that you want to have more collaborative events between the standing committees, right? Could you elaborate? Are there any themes that you want to focus on for the upcoming academic year?
I thank you for the question. Well, I'd have to, as I said, we'd have to, I'm going to keep like close connection with my standing committee national officers. So if they have an initiative that I see can cross-link, cross-match, for example, the IIPW, which was the hand washing where you can have homie give information about the certain bacteria that can be in hospitals, and it's cough giving the public health as in why you should wash your hands, how to wash your hands. If I see a great cross linkage that it can come to light, then go forward with it. But hopefully we should have much more. Right. Potential ideas. When I was initiating the foundation plan, Cora would be the biggest standing committee where I can have like across it. So, however, unfortunately, Cora wasn't functioning standing committee this year. Hopefully, square is up and running in the new school term. Hopefully, we can have stronger links and motivate. Yes.
Round of applause for Mr. Smith, please, guys. All right, so the most anticipated, thanks, WJC. So the most anticipated portion of our debates this afternoon is for president. So round of applause for two candidates, first of all. All right, so the first gentleman I'm seeing on this website is Mr. Omar Edwards. Could you step forward, please?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Omar Edwards, and I'm vying for the position of president this evening. So, when I started 3 years ago, I never imagined myself standing here. Who would have thought that this little black boy from a country way down south where nobody know will run for president for a big organization? I started out as a Scout member and a Scorer member based on my passion. Then this grew and led me to become National Officer on Sexual and Reproductive Health, including HIV/AIDS. Because of my hard work throughout my scorer term, we have been granted as standing committee member, as standing committee of the year, and I've been awarded council member of the year. That was last year. Due to my need to further develop JAMSA, my passion, because every year I learned a little bit more about what JAMSA really means and how we can get our involvement with IFMSA, the International Federation of Medical Student Association, in an attempt to move up our standards and to help standing committees grow, to move from project-based to move from just one-time project to longer longevity of project and to produce more sustainability. I decided to try my hand for Vice President of Internal Operations. And that is where I stand before you currently as your VPI. I have a dream. Oh wait, no. That's Martin Luther King's line. And according to Crit, I could be thrown out of university for that. But I have a vision. My vision is to JAMSA as a platform that allow medical students to find their passion, embrace their passion, use their passion, and impact Jamaica on a whole. So the first thing is vision, to create a focused vision. A focused vision produces a target. Once we have our eyes on the target, we can have a bigger impact. My plan is to merge the vision of JAMSA with that of the Americas region and with the Vision 2030, the Ministry of Health for Jamaica, so that we can have a bigger impact in Jamaica on a whole. My job, well, what I would like to see, because it's not my job as yet, what I would like to see is that we impact Jamaica, made it just coming to school as medical student and leaving with a grade. I firmly believe that JAMSA provide the opportunity for students to develop their soft skills. And through this vision with projects that we're having, we will help students achieve this. Foundation, have you been hearing throughout this entire presentation, JAMSA just released a new constitution, but many of us do not know the internal rules. And I firmly believe that, well, we have a high handover rate, which causes plans to be shifted each year. So I plan to implement a 2-year strategic plan to help guide JAMSA more better towards achieving this. This would include financial stability, wanting to increase our visibility and external representation. And finally, the impact. Where would JAMSA be without our medical students? Even though student apathy is a problem for us, one of the biggest issues that we face, if we can motivate our medical students to take a part and take an active role in learning soft skills, because from discussion, these are not skills that we just magically gain when we become an intern or even when we become doctors. It starts from now. So my dream and my hope and my vision is to motivate med students so that we can have a bigger impact, encourage you, and let's go forward together. So tomorrow when you vote between 6 and midnight, hopefully I'll be in school. For vision, foundation, and for an impact, vote Omar Edwards for your JAMSA president. Thank you.
Phew, it's been a very long afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jesse James, and I am the second and only other candidate vying for a position that's actually contested in this election. Now, 1,300 students. That was the number, if I quote from our Vice President of Development, who are eligible to vote in this election. Yet, we don't even have, I don't think there are 30 people in here. Student apathy, that's JAMSA's biggest problem. And it stems from the top down. JAMSA has had a very underwhelming presence in the faculty. If you ask many people who's the JAMSA president, they can't tell you. If you ask them who's the VPI, they can't tell you. If you ask them who's the local director, they can't tell you. Why is that? It's because JAMSA lacks presence. And presence and the ability to inspire, that's what JAMSA needs. Sitting here and listening to all the presentations, I can see that there's no lack of innovation. There are a lot of work has been done behind the scenes. We can see our VPC, she got our website up and running. She's been trying her best to get the social media platforms up and running as well. But yet she still doesn't have the impact. She still doesn't have that pull. And that's something that, as president, needs to happen. We need someone who has charisma, character, the ability to inspire, the ability to make someone want to be a part of something more. In Nidi's presentation, she said something that stuck out to me. Who we are and what we are about. How many people know that? As far as I'm concerned, JAMSA constitutes every paying MBBS student, not just those who are a part of standing committees. I'm not here to bore you. I'm not here to give you all my allocates and tell you why I'm qualified for the job. I'm here to tell you that I'm here to make an impact. I'm here to be innovative. I'm here to make you want to be proud of what JAMSA is. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Edwards, as well as Mr. James, for your presidential speeches. Do we have any questions for them? For either one of them or both?
Hi, good evening. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I actually have a question. It's directed to the second speaker. So you made an outstanding point by mentioning that JAMSA has not so much of a presence in the medical student body, but you approached it from the side where you use your personal attributes, but there was nothing really clear or objective. What, 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 how? How is really the question? How would you go about doing this?
Okay, that's an excellent question. Thank you very much. Sorry, forgive me. I'm a member of the El Salieri Towers Hall, and we're all about presence, and we're all about impact. And one thing that we've realized that gets people going and that gets people to work is, as I'm going to call it, the follow waka notion. So if you see me as president walking the faculty, asking questions, getting you involved, telling you about what IFMSA has to offer, right? If you see me with my team on a daily, we have forums or town hall meetings. Faculty is big. I'm sure we're actually, based on what I've seen in the old constitution, I'm not sure if it's in the new one, there's supposed to be a general assembly. And in this general assembly, all medical students are given the opportunity to raise their issues, ask questions. There hasn't been that opportunity in JAMSA. There's no one to ask. Understanding? There's no one to see. And because there's no one to see, why would I care? So first and foremost, the first thing we need to do, we need to be present and we need to be available. And that's for me. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So first question I have, I've heard it mentioned that you want to come up to a strategic plan, you want to come up with new innovative ideas. But can you give us an example of some of these ideas that you have come up with so far to see JAMSA move forward?
Okay, for me, I believe that each standing committee should be given a week out of the year in which they run, and preferably for me, what I'd like is that we have a collaborative effort. So instead of having SCORP and SCORA having a week, SCORP and SCORA can collaborate together and to show how human rights in conjunction with HIV and AIDS and reproductive health, how the two can mesh. So we have a week of activities, right? With different forums, games, all of that stuff. Another thing that is a part of my manifesto was a pilot sports day. So I want to liaison with the class presidents of all the year groups to see if we can find a consolidative time where we can get everyone or even a representative of everyone, because it's really hard to get everyone in one place based on people being all over the island. But to get everyone in a central place where we can have fun activities and just build unity among us as med students. Yes, thank you.
So the question was plans for JAMSA to move forward, right? So the strategic plan, well, what I've studied was that most strategic plans are built on pillars. So in terms of JAMSA, one of the pillars I would like to tackle is financial stability. So how would we go about doing this? Basically, by first and foremost organizing internal structures, so getting everybody to know exactly what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, and doing a retrospective study. So one of my plans is, which I didn't mention, was to find out who sat on previous executive and how they can better help us in going forward in terms of financially or in terms of knowledge base wise. In doing that now, we see all the activities that JAMSA has done in the past so that we can publish it to the public. So in presenting JAMSA to sponsors, we look more, how to say, for lack of a better word, update. Another thing is training. So IFMSC provides us with so many platforms for training opportunities. We actually have a vice president of capacity building for IFMSC, which I intend the VPD to get in contact with. Well, when she get there, if she get there, to see how better we can engage members so that we can do. Member engagement is another one. So presenting to members the benefits of joining JAMSA, besides just coming and get a medical degree or a medical skill, the friendship that you make, the impact that you can have on Jamaica on a whole. These are ways that I think of creating a better infrastructure for JAMSA so that we could present ourselves better to the public. Thank you.
Hi. This question is to both candidates. So I know, Omar, you're about to be a fourth year, and Jesse, I know that you're currently 2K22's deputy chairperson for Smoker. You're also running for chairman for Towers. How can you guys guarantee that you have enough time to effectively perform your role?
So time is an issue, as all would know, but then I have like roughly 2 years, been doing this for roughly 2 years. So what I plan to do to give JAMSA enough time is I have a planner where I plan out my day, basically how it goes. So I set aside time, like from when I was a national officer, an advice my friend gave me was at least set aside 2 hours a day for JAMS to do JAMSA work or to actually catch up with your JAMSA work to actually deliver the best that you can. Time planning is one of my strengths. Even though it doesn't look like it out front, it is one of my strengths. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Jesse, I got some of your positions wrong, but you know what I mean.
All right. Um, my father always told me, if you want to get something done, give it to a busy man. You're not going to give it to someone who has nothing to do because it won't get done. And structure is a big part of success. And it's not necessarily whether or not you have free time, because extensive planning versus intensive planning, there's one that's more effective and more efficient. And as president, you're not going to be doing the work alone, right? So it's not like I'll be shouldering the burden by myself. But the whole point is being able to be present and to lead the team forward, so that we can, because all of us will be stricken for time. You're going into most of the candidates, their third years, right? And we'll be going through the adjustment of going into clinicals and ward rounds and that stuff. So as president, I think it's key to be able to find a structure in which we can maximize the impact without having to extensively plan over and over.
Hi, good evening. So, a question for both candidates. One of the most important things right now is that JAMSA does, in fact, have a commanding presence, but it doesn't extend only to students. I've seen ideas of improving infrastructure within JAMSA, and as well as pilot projects like sports days. Well, that sounds more like a class exec thing. But my thing is, how do both of you plan on getting JAMSA relevant on the national stage? Because at the end of the day, JAMSA is a national organization. How do we get JAMSA to stand on par, or at least comparable to organizations like the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network or We Change, for instance? How do both of you plan on accomplishing that?
Well, I don't know about you, but JAMSA doesn't have a commanding presence. It doesn't. And first, as Rajay said, before you can dance abroad, you have to dance a yard. So if we can't get the support of first and foremost, we need to get the support of our fellow classmates, of our fellow MBBS students, and we need to get them involved as much as possible. That way, once we create a following, and dare I say it, a cult following, we have to get we have to get the MBBS pride, where I am proud to be a JAMSA member. If you notice with the youth advocacy arms, they're proud to say that they're advocates for HIV and AIDS, advocates for women's rights, advocates for for cancer, and all of that stuff. That pride isn't in JAMSA. So as you said, the sports day feels like a class exec initiative. However, one thing I know about sports days is that they build pride, and they build togetherness, and they build unity. So if we can get everyone in a central place, it's going to be easier for us to reach out to them and get it in their heads that, listen, as JAMSA, together we can accomplish much.
So how to get JAMSA on a national scale? It's not a 1 year solution to say, but what it begins with is visibility. So first of all, it's about JAMSA taking a stance on matters that are important to the nation at the moment. So for example, this is a far-fetched one on abortion, but we know how conservative people are about that. So we have Standing Committee on Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights, including HIV and AIDS. Ooh, that's a lot to say. Their portfolio is access to safe abortion, human rights and peace corp. So their portfolio is, are we denying people their human rights? So basically presenting ourselves on a public platform. So make use of the national platform that we have. So collaborate with, for example, one of these national organizations, for JAN, on one of these things, and also releasing statement from JAMSA to the public to let them know, hey, we are here, we are concerned about this is our stance on this is what we would like medical students, this is the medical student voice on the matter. So as I say, it's not a issue that can be solved within 1 year, but with visibility, more visibility, we can move our way towards national level status.
Good afternoon. My question is to both candidates. With the whole recent nationalization of JAMSA, what plans do you have to build a better relationship between both campuses and assist more for WJC?
I'll get lost in the last part, so repeat the last part.
What will you be doing to assist more at WJC?
Okay. Well, you see, WJC, you guys are amazing, first of all. From my little encounter with you guys are amazing. But WJC support, as we know, we are not entirely well off financially, but in what little aspects we can offer financial support to you, yes, we can. As what I've did with most of my national officers this year is that a 24-hour WhatsApp, my WhatsApp was open for 24 hours for them, except when I'm on runs. That will be available to them. So in the event that they need assistance in counsel in any matter, they can feel free to come to me. One thing I believe in is checking up on those who I work with. So in terms of doing that, more checking up, well, not really checking up, but checking in with you guys, see how you guys are doing, find out what problems you're facing, and see how we could offer. So, one thing that I planned, that I was thinking on doing, is having the team actually to come to WJC to actually meet the team, because over the years, it has been seen that WJC is isolated from Mona and don't feel the love. So I was thinking about having the team actually come to WJC to meet WJC on a regular basis.
Well, based on my experience, even as CAC for the medical faculty, I know that the relationship between Mona and WJC, it's very convoluted, and it's something that can't readily be fixed with just. It's not going to happen overnight. However, what we can do is try our best to incorporate WJC in all the workings of Mona. And a big thing that was mentioned by, or well, I can't say that, by one of our candidates for SCORE. She said that she was planning to have some of her meetings in the lecture theaters so that she can incorporate WJC. Because I've seen where a lot of things that are happening at WJC almost functions independently of Mona, and it shouldn't be so. So what I'm going to try my best to do is to create that bridge, create that link to get WJC as much a part of the family as possible.
Hi, evening. The speaker before me had a very important question raised regarding incorporating other sites into JAMSA effectively. What are your plans in fully nationalizing both WJC's involvement as well as CSMJ? Yes, as in site, as in CSMJ, fully incorporating WJC. How do you plan to go about this to incorporate them? What are any preparations that you'd like to make to facilitate this transition?
Well, for me personally, what I think is that we need to have at least one meeting per semester, as I call it, a general assembly, where we can invite medical students from WJC, from CSMJ. Forgive me, I'm just meeting you guys. You guys look lovely. and basically to incorporate all medical students, to get them into a program where they can basically
that some people might perceive is the small number of students at these university, as what could happen is the use of the local director, not to put a lot of stress on them, but the use of the local director to kind of serve as the local officers for the different standing committee there. One thing that I would encourage the standing committees use groups to do is to, when they plan a national project, include the schools in their planning system, because while there's something that we can do at UB campus, there's also something that we can also do at Mobi, for example, and even closer down. So in terms of, so we have a wider impact, wider reach, so they can feel like they're actually a part of the project. In terms of visitation, letting them know that we're here, we support them, and we see them. And yeah.
Evening. So I have a question for both candidates first, and then I have a question specifically for Mr. James. For both candidates, so we've been talking a lot about nationalization. Have you thought of any national organizations with whom you might collaborate to help in the image of JAMSA, since you both have been speaking about the presence and image of JAMSA?
Yes, for me, the most important organization for JAMSA to correlate with would be the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association, because I think it's paramount that we establish a relationship between the current and future generations of doctors. And I think there is no other organization that would have an onus to help us get on our feet and to help us create an impact than people who know the struggles of med school, people who know what it's like to be a leader of a team and in the medical field and the medical world, people who more than likely have been a part of JAMSA themselves. So I think that that link needs to be strengthened. If it's there, it needs to be strengthened, and if it's non-existent, it needs to be formed.
National organization that I would like to partner with, Jamaican Youth Advocacy Network. Most of the work that we do involve advocacy, so who better to partner with than the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network? Also, in terms of their participation, is training our students to giving them a voice to how to better advocate for medical issues that we're facing both on a medical field and off.
Thank you for your answers. Specifically to Mr. James, someone at WJC actually raised the point, and I wanted to delve into the point a little better. I think they mentioned that you are running for a position on the guild, yes? Um, Now, in the past, there have existed conflicts between JAMSA and the guild, seeing as JAMSA is really not a subsidiary of the guild. So my question to you is, in the event that such an event may occur again, how would you navigate such a conflict, one? And two, how are we confident that JAMSA will not become a subsidiary of the guild?
That's an excellent question that I thought someone wouldn't ask. I think the best way to solve conflict is to be able to think about it dialectically. And by saying that, I mean have the vision from both sides. So with my position in the guild versus also being JAMSA president, I'll be able to create a link between JAMSA and the guild so that the guild can help JAMSA further. It's forgive me, I'm getting tired. The guild can help JAMSA further its development and projects, and the guild already has a strong following, which I believe that JAMSA can tap into by working in collaboration with the guild. So I don't think it's a concern of whether or not the JAMSA will become a subsidiary of the guild. It's more of how will JAMSA work with the guild to create an impact.
Sorry, just to clarify, JAMSA does have an active relationship with the guild, so I don't think collaborating with UA Guild will be any issue. In the past, we've received a lot of support from them, even gifts towards presenters, for instance, at events on behalf of the guild, and they have worked to promote events. I think the key issue right here is right now, what happens when the guild's interests do not align with JAMSA's interests? Because JAMSA is a national organization that represents at best possibly three different schools. So what happens when these opinions clash? Whose side will you take if it comes to that? Whose side will you take?
Well, I won't be able to take the guild side first and foremost because I won't be a guild exec. So in terms of voting and voting on interest and that stuff, I won't really have an active say in how how the guild in the guild interest. So JAMSA is first and foremost my would first and foremost be my priority as opposed to the guild's interest because my position on the guild as deputy hall chairman of El Salirani Towers Hall is first and foremost to represent the El Salirani Hall, not the guild of students. So I'm in charge of the El Salirani Hall. So yes, I'm not sure if you're following what I'm saying. So in terms of the guild interest, that would be more of an executive guild position as opposed to a representative position, which I hold.
Okay, so my question for President, and I'm very happy to see two of our past presidents and the current president sitting at the front row. Right, the current and past two. Right, so my question is, since we've been talking about the guild a lot, the guild has a stipulation that its candidates have a GPA of 2.5, which we do not encourage or enforce here in JAMSA, right? So, considering nationalization and 1,300 plus students that we represent, etc., how are we, or find a nice way to phrase this question, when it comes to the point where school becomes a huge pressure, but JAMSA also has its demands, and I'm not saying that you should put JAMSA over school or school over JAMSA, but how can we be confident in the fact that JAMSA will not fall off? You won't go missing in action, and JAMSA is just floating around, waiting until you turn up again because you think it's okay to turn up again. Because I can tell you, especially for putting on elections, I get calls at 10 o'clock in the night about elections. So how can we know that you are going to be there when JAMSA needs you for both candidates?
From past experience of being on executives, I know what it's like to have a missing leader or to have a leader who is caught up with their own personal interests or having their own personal problems and isn't able to function as best as he can. And I've seen where it has sent organizations into disarray. It has caused a lot of internal conflict and misunderstandings. So, in light of that notion, I know that first and foremost, even though my academics and personal life are as important, but by taking up this position, I must know that the sacrifices have to be made and that I have a duty to perform and that I can't let my own personal interests disallow me from performing my duties as president.
So, being on the council for the past 2 years, I've learned the value of sacrifice. I've actually know what it means to wanting to go to your bed at 1 o'clock, but the idea keep playing in your head that you stay up till 3 until it's done to go to sleep. One of the things I plan to do for myself personally when I become president, when you decide to vote, and if I get voted in as president, is to form an academic support group for myself, to ensure that while I'm doing JAMSA work, I don't fall off the map academically, and to have for myself a sort of watch group to ensure that the things that I say I want to do or the things that JAMSA should be doing, in the form that we have the advisory council for that. But yeah, to ensure that that when it comes to JAMSA work and school work, that I'll budget it in such a way that sacrifices are made, but the actions towards academic or even to the organization is not disastrous.
Another, another point I'd like to raise as well is that JAMSA, the executive is a unit. It's a family. It's supposed to be a collective group. So it shouldn't be that as president, I shouldn't be overwhelmed, even with both JAMSA activities and schoolwork. As you can see, most of the candidates are going into third year. I'll be a third year. So I think that as a committee, we must can be able to have that unity where we can band together and help each other to further our academical pursuits, whilst simultaneously making JAMSA more impactful.
Okay, so they've had times in the past in which JAMSA's image in IFMSA hasn't been the best that it can be. Over the years, we've worked to improve that image. What ideas do you have that could further better JAMSA's image within IFMSA, strengthen the partnerships and relationships that we have within the regional team?
Well, honestly, I think that has started this year by us having delegates to the meeting in Slovenia, and I think that by being present at these international assemblies, that's where we can build our relationships with our international counterparts, and to get learn from them, get the experience, learn how they impact their own niches, and how we can take those learning experiences and apply it to Jamaica.
Improving JAMSA's image within IFMSC. Well, one of the very first thing that we can do is meet their requirements. So submitting our reports on time and keeping our fees so that it doesn't look like, yeah, we're just here. And keeping in contact with the team of officials who are in charge of us. One thing that we can also do is actually take an active role along the regional director in project that they are hosting. So, for example, the Americas region have have five um, global points that they would like to assist in. So, what can be done is that from an executive approach is that we take on a project that involves our students to see how we can better implement these five global points within Jamaica, and how we can be like their voice in Jamaica while still impacting the healthcare field in a positive way.
Hi, evening again. So I've noticed that you've been talking about strengthening relationships and appearances in IFMSC. Are there any plans, however, to tackle how JAMSA may improve its image to other regional MSAs? For example, Trinidad and Tobago has a very active medical students association. I know in the past we've done collaborative projects with, I think, was it Ecuador or is it Colombia? One of the standing committees had an exchange for the letters to a warrior. That was Mexico, right? Are there any plans to facilitate this in the future, and how do we do it better?
So, being there for our brothers and sister organization is something that we can always do. So collaboration is always one of the things that we would like to do. Shaking hands with our fellow partners and saying, hey, yes, we support you in this action and we would like to be there for you. In terms of project wise, there are international days worldwide, So, for example, World Diabetes Days or Day of Lupus, what we can do is coordinate with our various MSAs and lead and lead, because it is possible for JAMSA to actually draft up a project and present it to the entire Americas region so that we can lead a project on one of these international days. So collaboration is always on the table with our fellow MSA members.
I think a big thing here would be exchange programs and being able to send students into new environments to see how the medical field is, what's the view of the medical field in other countries. Another thing, that's why whoever becomes president has to work closely with the vice president of finance, because a big problem I've seen with JAMSA is that we're strapped for cash. And because we're strapped for cash, we're unable to subsidize a lot of these exchange programs where we can send people abroad and so that they can come back with the experience. And even those who have been sent abroad, they haven't really shared the experience with others to know that, oh, I was at the meeting in Slovenia and I saw such and all of that stuff. There's no one knows that medical opportunities extend beyond Jamaica. And it's not just here, but it's a worldwide thing. So that's one of the big things for me, is to get some exchange programs going. I know that the opportunities are there, but first and foremost, we need a solid, sustainable financial plan in which we can help our students. We don't even have to pay for all of it, but if we can give them a strong enough subsidy so that we can give them an incentive so that they know that they can leave and come back with the experience so that we get the program ongoing, that would be a big thing for JAMSA, in my opinion.
Okay, so there's a question on YouTube for Mr. James. The question is, are you familiar with JAMSA's construct and what have been your contributions to the organization?
If I'm familiar with JAMSA's construct, by construct, I'd like to ask, does that mean constitution? Okay. Okay, yes. Okay. Yes, I am. Last year I was scored as National Financial Officer. I'm currently the Vice President of External Affairs of SCORP. And I was an active member of SCORP last year. I received the SCORP Award, actually, from the former National Officer on the Standing Committee of Human Rights and Peace. So yes, I am an active member of JAMSA. I've been involved and I've made very valuable contributions. I've worked with Omar in Scora. So yes, so I am familiar.
Thanks to my colleagues, I only have two questions for both candidates instead of the dozen I came with. But the first of them being, traditionally the organization post-election has had a number of spaces that have not been filled. And based on the election, how it's running this time, we can tell that's going to be the case. Could you guys provide some insight as to your recruitment strategy for the organization?
Oh, okay. First and foremost, there are a lot of people in the faculty, not the faculty, in the department who have a passion for a lot of these standing committees, but they actually don't know what the standing committees are about or what they actually mean. So, firstly, what I'd like to get out there, and that's a thing that I want to have on the website, is get information from past standing committees and past actions that have been taken. So, and to get them to know that, listen, your values and your views are what we're looking for, right? And I want to have an application process where you can come, share with us your passion and why you're interested in the position. And you need to push forward one innovative project of how you're going to get this committee or this position up and running, and how is it going to impact JAMSA.
So in terms of recruitment process, so the first thing I would like to do is open a call for persons who are interested in this position. Also, have the constitution being rebroadcast with the various rules. That's one. Two is to have an interview board being set up, which includes myself. Because these positions have not filled, then the next best person to have there would be the officer that is just leaving, so that they have more insight on what the role entails and how best they could move forward and make use of JAMSA's advisory council, because we want to actually make the best decision for the organization. So opening calls and having this person come in for an interview to secure the position.
Both of you mentioned taking advantage of the intellectual vitality and institutional memory of past officers, which leads me very well into my second question, which is, do any of you have plans at this moment to form any kind of JAMSA alumni system or any pool of talent? Because as it stands right now, when individuals retire from the organization, all the skills that they've accumulated are for the most part lost, except for those who join the advisory council and of course assist those who immediately come after them. Any insight you could provide would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, so this is actually one of the things I talked about. So it basically, in order to get the various officers more in tune of what their roles entail, I was planning on have a retrospect study back until, well, for a good while back. So this would include every officer seeking out their past, using the immediate past to find the immediate past after that, and asking them about how the role was, etc. And in doing this, we create a database so that we can have it actually being published, so know that these persons sat on the council. Because if you look at it, a requirement, well, if you look at it from an advisory council perspective, two of the requirements are that there must be a past president or a past national officer. And how else are we going to find past presidents or past national officers who are going to help us? So an alumni and an alumni association for JAMSA would be of good value, because it keeps knowledge within the organization and provide opportunity for training.
One thing I had in mind was to have a training workshop during the summer where I'd invite past JAMSA presidents, past NORPs, past executive members to come to this training and leadership workshop along with external people to get our new executive acquainted with their roles, to get them aware of various challenges that happened in the past, and how the past can help the future. Because without the past, without knowledge of the past, we can't move forward. We can't move forward blindly without knowing that. Because, forgive me for stuttering. It's, as a leader, it's nice to come with manifestos and to come with plans for the future. But if you don't know what, because a lot of our ideas aren't new things. There's stuff that have been thought of already, but weren't implemented based on various nuances that happened in the past. So I believe that if we can become aware over a 2 to 3 day period, how we can sit and talk with various people from the past and to see where what they thought could have been done better, and how we can take that advice to make the year 2019 into 2020 a year to remember.
With regards to the Alumni Association, I think it's an excellent idea. With regards to an Alumni Association, I think it's an excellent idea. But something we are not looking at is the fact that JAMSA has a high turnover rate. There are many members who leave JAMSA for reasons that we may or may not know. How do you plan to tackle brain drain? How do you plan to tackle that in JAMSA? How do we retain our knowledge base?
Training, and it starts from the level of the standing committees, because once a standing committee is running as it's supposed to, it creates a pool of human resource where more people want to be a part of the organization. So as long as we can keep that cycle turnover, we'll be able to compensate for the amount of people who leave on a yearly basis.
So, given the high turnover rate, what would be good is to have some benefits for these alumni once they come back to like encourage them to come back on a whole. Well, that would be sorted. Well, I'm currently not thinking of any possibly, but at the moment, but giving them benefits for coming back, so what they can be doing or how they can better what JAMSA can do for them even after they leave. So with retaining the knowledge base is basically finding them and seeing what they can do to us or for us and seeing how we can better help them and assist them in their growing possibility.
And the second question I have for you, with regards to exchange, I do think it's something that we definitely need to get revamped. But one of our biggest issues regarding exchange between Jamaica and other MSAs is that the exchange the rate for students to come from other countries to Jamaica is traditionally very high. And from what I know, IFMSA does not plan to back down on that. How do you plan on reducing the cost for these foreign students to come to Jamaica and do an exchange under one of the standing committees?
You lost me when you said that it's. I think I think that it would be more expensive for us to leave Jamaica. It's not. It's really.
So I can speak from my knowledge of this. Our two exchange committees are scopes, professional exchange and research exchange. From my knowledge, previous NORIs and NEO have begun conversation with the university to see how best they can reduce these costs for coming in. One of the biggest things that we can also actually try to do is get sponsorship. So for example, for affordable housing within the area, can we approach 138 student living to actually give us the rooms at a reduced price? It is possible. It's a possibility. Can we approach 138 student living to give us at a reduced price in providing food? Who do we know that we can actually get to prepare meals for them and have it delivered to them, etc., etc. So it's about being in conversation with the university because we want them to come here, and the biggest stumbling block is the prices that we have set up from the International Student Office and the OSSD, from my knowledge. Hope I'm not speaking too loosely on this. So is engaging in conversation with them to see how better we can reduce these costs and to strengthen JAMSA financial abilities, which will take a while, but strengthening JAMSA's financial ability to help offset some of these prices.
It's more than likely. Problem is that JAMSA in and of itself right now is broke, and JAMSA doesn't have. Pardon? That the other.
Okay, so some clarity, especially for our visitors. As former national exchange officer, I'll tell you that our exchange fee is twice what is paid by our international counterparts. So right now, for example, Slovenia to come to Jamaica, they would pay their institution around 450 US thereabouts is what they pay, whereas us Jamaicans we pay about 900 and something. And students when they come here would get two meals and things like that. However, those prices obviously won't include airfare or anything. So the question now is, since compared to the international bodies, they are paying half what we are paying, how are you going to adjust to that so we can actually pursue exchange?
All right, I'll take the opportunity to offer some further explanation as a former research exchange officer. One detail that you may be missing is that we have what are called bilateral exchanges, which is primarily what this matter concerns, which is where individuals who are going to the country pay for the individuals who are coming to the country. So the fees that are charged here in Jamaica are what we must pay to travel. Whereas if you're coming from Slovenia, since we love that example, Slovenians will pay the Slovenian fee to travel here. So that system is in place to motivate NMO national member organizations like JAMSA to keep their costs low in order to make sure that other organizations keep their costs low. The major barrier is that we have a current cost, according to the administration, of $988 last time I checked, which is far out of step with our first world counterparts, with Germany being 560 at the high point and fellow nations in the Caribbean being as low as 300 or 285. To give you a further breakdown of the cost, just to provide further information, the major aspect that drives up the cost is an administrative fee charged by the International Students Office of $250 to $300, as well as mandatory insurance required by the university. Those are the additional costs that really ramp us up far out of step with our counterparts, in addition to our inability to secure free food and so on. I hope that this information leads to a more vibrant discussion.
Thank you for that information. Well, I guess this is where the advocacy part of being president comes in. I'd have to sit and speak with the office, with the international office, to see how best we can subsidize or cut the cost for these things. I'd also use my position on the guild as deputy hall chairman, because I have a great relationship with my SSDM, and he's all about diversity on tours and giving international students the experience that Jamaica has to offer. So we always offer rooms to our exchange students at subsidized prices. That's something that's ongoing now. It hasn't happened for any medical students. I know it happens for the Faculty of Humanities and International Relations. So CARIMAC, that is. So I'll be using that. So I know I can help with. I know I can directly help, have a direct impact on housing and residents for the time that they're here. I'd have to do my research, of course, about the fees and see how best I can tackle it personally.
Okay, last question from me for tonight, I promise. As president, unfortunately, one of the things that you'll have to deal a lot with is conflict, whether it be disagreements within the association or perhaps even someone disagreeing with a decision that you have to make. What are strategies that you would implement to help conflict resolution?
Conflict usually stems from miscommunication and the inability to understand each other. So I believe that dealing with, first and foremost, the conflicts within the executive itself has to start with bonding. So we need to be able to see each other as a unit, as to see that we have a common goal. So it's not, so for instance, if the VPE is successful, but the VPI is struggling, it can't be that the VPE is going to point fingers at the VPI and say, you're not doing your job, etc., etc. We have to see ourselves as a committee that is united, where if one fails, we all fail as a committee. So through that training workshop that I was thinking about over the 2 to 3 day period, we'll be able to spend time with each other, get to know each other personally. And throughout the year, a lot of us will be third-year students. If we can use the opportunities to study together, share our experiences on the different rotations and wars that we've been in, and to have a time where we socialize and be at ease, I think that will reduce conflict and help with conflict management.
So conflict is nothing that is a foreign concept to me. So my approach to dealing with conflicts, well, first of all, I'd like to know each person's perspective separately. So why you think this is the issue from both ends, and then have a sit down and talk together with each of them where in a civilized manner, we do not destroy each other, but have a discourse about why this is going on and come up to a mutual agreement. There are many ways of dealing with conflict. Avoidance is one of them, but that would be the last resort in some cases. But my main focus is having a sit down and talk with you guys regarding why this conflict is arising, like because it usually comes from a misperception of ideas about what this person is trying to do. It. So, yeah, thank you.
Um, so we've mentioned exchanges. If I'm not mistaken, no one has run for the national exchange officer, right? I don't think there was one over the past year. Um, do either of you have any plans as to, you know, revamping Scopy, seeing as it's, can I say defunct? I'm not sure if I can use that word, but. Hmm?
Ideas to revamp scope. P. So it's not really a tricky situation, much less to say. It's more to understanding why we haven't been having this as much as before and understanding what the standing committee actually wants to accomplish on an IFMSA level. So once we know what the standing committee wants to accomplish, we can assess what JAMSA can commit to. Also, in terms of one of the biggest problems, as we heard before, was the finance. So in reviving Scopy, we have to find innovative measures to kind of soften the financial blow that we would have. It's the idea there to revamp Scopy, yes, because the idea there is to put out a call for the National Exchange Officer and to work along with that person and their IFMSA coordinators to actually have the standing committee being reintroduced into a JAMSA situation.
I think in order to revamp Scobie, before we even think about going internationally, I think we should try our best to get the standing committee running on a national level, on a local level. So approaching doctors in the corporate area, doctors in and around Jamaica at first, so that we can get a foundational base to build on, before we even start going overseas. And at first, to fix the little nuances that JAMSA has right now, especially the financial aspect, before we can even think about getting it to the stage that we want it to be.
One last question for the night. The constitution, the current constitution, is pretty young, um, but already, as with any document, such as a constitution, there are certain problems that have arisen. In my opinion, it's a better constitution than the one we had before, but there are still some problems with the constitution. Have you read the constitution, and are there any issues that you see with it, and how are you going to approach changing those issues?
I've read the old constitution and the new constitution, and something that I've realized with the new one is that it leaves out a lot of there's a lot of gray area in it, meaning it's more focused on the standing committees and what they're about and what they're supposed to be doing. But in terms of the General Assembly is somewhat left gray. So I'm thinking about forming a constitution committee where we can see how best we can get all JAMSA members, because everyone can vote. It's not just people who are in standing committees that have the opportunity to vote. So, pardon? Oh, it doesn't say that. Right, right. So yes, yes. So because all students have the capability to vote, it means that I believe that a constitution should have a section that is dedicated dedicated to the students who are outside of standing committees, because not everyone is going to want to join a standing committee. Not everyone is going to take up the commitment. So I think that it should be that the executive has an arm that is dedicated to pushing the programs outside to those outside of the committee, so that they can feel more involved in the process of both electing their executive and being a part of the advocacy that JAMSA represents.
So have I read the Constitution? Multiple times. If there are problems with the Constitution, well, I have met with a few. For example, my role as VPI mainly encompasses okay, so as VPI, it said that I'm serving as conflict manager between all standing committees and organizer of orientation, which I think is just the tip of the iceberg for the position actually, because if you looked at the IFMSA structure, the VPI role encompasses that of the IFMSA VPI and the vice president of members and some aspects of capacity building. So in terms of that, I would like to add and subtract some things to it. I think it's rather vague in terms of constitutional rules that we are supposed to do, but the best way I'm thinking to tackle the Constitution is to, because this is the first year that is going through, is to have a current council sit down with the incoming and outgoing council to hear their point of views about this, especially with the terms of the advisory council, because they say they serve a position of 1 year, but you can only apply 3 members, and it have a capacity to reach 5 members, but to the extent if they're moving on 3 members every year and you can only apply a maximum of 3 members, but your capacity is 5 members, then for you to reach 5 members, you have to actually breach the Constitution in some aspects. But yes, so those are some issues that I see.
So I want to close by saying that I think you've done an excellent job so far tonight. So my last question for you is, social accountability is something that's key to both the entire medical faculty as a whole and to JAMSA. How do you plan to promote a socially accountable JAMSA student? All right. So regarding social accountability, I'm saying, how do you plan on nurturing students who are both passionate about their schoolwork as it relates to the underserved communities and key populations here in Jamaica? How do you plan on raising student leaders from the ground up to tackle these issues?
First and foremost, as a doctor, you are a leader. You're already a leader. And a lot of our medical students, they already come into med school as leaders, but there's no avenue for them. Well, there's an avenue, but there aren't many avenues for them to showcase that leadership. So they tend to get, as I would call it, they tend to become they tend to become closeted, because they're swamped with work and such forth. So I'm planning to have certain forums, have leadership forums where we can bring certain issues to the forefront, see if we can spearhead a lot of initiatives in which we can go out and have mentorship, because there are a lot of people who want to become doctors. So if we can go to high schools, primary schools, show them what it's like, show them the journey of what it's like to become a doctor, and to show them that leadership is important, because as a doctor you're going to be leading lots of teams. Show them that people skills are important as well, getting out there and talking to people, as in the MBBS department especially has become very insular, in that we don't speak much to, not even each other. We just study. So by creating networks within both the department and the faculty at large, I think that by in doing that, we'll be able to get students who are leaders in and of their own right, and together we can put JAMSA on the map as a force to be reckoned with.
So creating healthcare professional who cares about the community before they actually become doctors and not waiting until they get a degree to do that is an important task for JAMSA. One way of doing this is by, again, collaboration. So this particular firm is having a health fair, see how JAMSA can get into lend assistance on it and see how we can best motivate our students to go out. Also, one thing we can do is take an executive-driven approach so in such that we go out and actively seek people to actually seek opportunities for our students where they can come and foster their skills. So it's all about, mostly is about motivating the student to actually take a part in this and providing them the opportunity and the pathway to do this.
Okay, so this is a question from someone online. This is a question from someone online. This one is targeted to Mr. James, Mr. Jesse James. It says that your speech was centered around the negative aspects of JAMSA and even painted positive aspects of JAMSA in a negative light. How do you plan to inspire when it seems you only aim to attack?
That's an interesting question because you're saying that I'm attacking JAMSA. That's not true. No, I'm speaking to the person. That's not true. I'm not attacking JAMSA. I'm just saying that JAMSA's presence has been underwhelming, and that cannot be denied, and it's out there. Everyone knows that JAMSA, and I did tout the previous organization that innovation has started. Innovation is here. The presence is not. So I'm not attacking JAMSA. I'm not discrediting anything that has been done. I'm saying that there is room for improvement and that we need to get our face out there because no matter how much work you do behind the scenes, if it doesn't come to the forefront, it will forever be behind the scenes. So that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Another question. This is actually my question. Being a member of the MBBS DDS 2K22's executive group, as well as the current smokers group, you don't seem to take your positions very seriously. So my question is, how do you plan on changing that for a position that is going to lead an entire organization?
Okay, that's a personal question. Um, I'm going to ask you is what's your knowledge of the MBBS 2K22 executive and how it functions? Because if we're going to speak about smoker, there are a lot of complications that we've had with smoker in terms of getting smoker to bend to the fact that they're not an independent body, but a body that functions under the class executive. So there has been frictions. There have been frictions with the smoker executive and the class executive that I, as VPE, haven't been able to iron out, and I'm in the process of ironing them out. Um, our executive also has been having a lot of issues due to the fact that our president is going through some issues. And because of that, the executive hasn't been functioning in the capacity that it should be. And as a result, it might seem as if as if I'm absent, but the truth and the fact is there's it's more than what the eye can see. With regards to smoker, I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to answer that because smoker has nothing to do with what we're speaking about right now. And my position on the smoker executive wasn't an executive position either. It was I was the assistant marketing manager. and and I didn't share, I didn't share the vision that the smoker executive had. And as a result, I chose to resign. And for my own personal reasons, I chose to resign. So yes, has that answered your question? What more would you like to know?
My other question is, as the acting VPC for JAMSA, my question is, how do you plan on working with me to get JAMSA's face out there? This for both candidates. How do you, what ideas do you have in mind? I want to know more structured things, more planned ideas as to how do we get JAMSA's face out there, because as you can see, I've been active on Instagram, I've been active on the website, and I've been posting in classes almost once every week. So how is it, what plans do you have that we can more get our face out there?
I think Jamson needs to take a more personal approach. And in taking a more personal approach, we need to be on the ground. So we can't just have a social media presence that no one has any affiliation or any endearment towards. People on social, especially social media, people follow people who they feel connected to. So for instance, a girl will follow someone who does natural hair products because she has natural hair, and someone who does their hair. A boy will follow a sports channel because it covers the sports that he loves. As JAMSA, we need to get it out there that that we are the medical arm. We are the medical we're the medical arm, the national medical arm, and that we share the common interest of all medical students. So as long as we get that personal presence, that personal attachment to our students, I'm sure that we will be getting more support from them.
So unfortunately, I can only speak from a UA perspective. I don't know how classes function at this year's school, but getting to understand the concept would give me a better idea of how to better increase our visibility there. From the UB perspective, so each class have an executive comprising of a secretary and a PRO. In the past, there has been provision for a class president to actually be a part of the JAMSA Council. Hopefully, I'm not speaking wrongly, incorrectly. But yeah, so working along with the class presidents so that we can get, because the class president have access, the class secretary with the class email have access to every student email, and they usually send out mass emails like whenever there's important functions going on. So working along with the class president, local director, working along with the class president to get to the class secretaries to have information being sent out to the different classes. This would ensure that we know that most of med school is getting our messages. In terms of social media appearances, it's mainly about letting them know who we are, what we are, where we sit, what we're doing. So keeping them up to date with what we're doing, keeping them intrigued. Like, so this month we did XYZ, bam, bam, bam. Next month we're looking for BBB, like, and so it's keeping them up to date with what's going on currently so they can feel like they are part of the organization and they want to do stuff. They want to take an interest in the organization.
Okay, no more questions. Our presidential candidates are very tired, and I'm sure we are too. And you is about to kick us out, right? So thank you guys so much for coming out. It was probably the longest presidential candidate debates we've had in a very long time. I'm really encouraging all 1,387 MBBS students who received their ballots today to vote tomorrow. Voting opens at 6 a.m. and closes at midnight. Yes, 1,300 enough. So, guys, please go out, encourage your friends to go on our IG Live to review if they missed today's session. It should also be available on our YouTube channel. And vote tomorrow. Thank you so much for coming. And I look forward to great things next year.